My name is Justin Luvv from right here in Columbus, Ohio. I am a radio, DJ, and media and real estate professional. So favorite artist from Ohio, of course, number one for me is always got to be Bone Thugs and Harmony from Cleveland. Also from Cleveland, the beautiful Toni Braxton. I would say probably maybe Roger Troutman from Dayton. You know, he produced California Love with Dr. Dre and Tupac. You could even go all the way to the other side of the state and talk about Dean Martin from Richbone's hometown of the Ville, Stupidville. Who else? Of course, Bow Wow from right here in Columbus. A lot of people like to hit on Bow Wow, but he and I had a really good conversation a number of times. Really good dude, really cool guy, and very talented too. So advice to anybody who wants to start in the radio music business, if you live in the Buckeye State, the easiest way for you to get a job is to literally be available and to literally work harder than anybody else in the building or anybody else they meet. You have to be someone who adds value to that company. You got to remember, these companies are all in it to make money. That's what business is, right? So in order for you to be a valuable asset to a company, you have to add value. You have to give them a reason to want to bring you aboard on whatever they're doing. So if you're trying to get a job in radio or media in general, you want to find a way to bring in some type of asset to the company, whether that's through the work you do, whether that's through the finances you can bring in by things that they can sell. You always want to find a way to bring value to that company. And let's just be honest, you also want to make a way for your boss to look good. So if you do a good job, your boss is going to look good. So whatever you can do to be a better asset, to bring value to that company, that's how you're more than likely going to get into and have success in the media world. Now also, if you want to have success as an artist, music artist, a lot of people talk about, I talked about Bow Wow earlier, and a lot of people, they hate on Bow Wow, and they don't really give him a lot of the credit that I think he deserves because people say he doesn't rep Columbus. But you got to remember, these label reps don't care that you rep a certain city. They care that you bring in the money. So if repping Columbus would bring in money, he probably would have repped Columbus a lot harder. But so if you're going to have success as an artist in Ohio, I highly suggest you connect with someone who can help make moves for you. A perfect example, shout out to my man Angel Lopez. Angel Lopez found a way to connect with Timbaland. Timbaland got him on Kanye's record. Now he's working on Jack Harlow's album. Did stuff with Doja Cat. A guy like Rufus Black. Rufus Black is super connected with Salt and Peppa, and he has made moves with Mila J and Jhené Aiko and artists like that. You have to build a bridge with somebody that can get you to where you want to go. So stations I have worked for, I'll just tell you, just kind of give you my history. I started at Radio U 88.7 right here in Columbus, Ohio. Transitioned to Power 107.5, 106.3 right here also in Columbus. Then I moved to work for Cumulus in Indianapolis, where I worked for a station called 93.9 The Beat, which flipped to 93.9 Energy 93.9. And then that flipped to a rock station. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember what the name of the station is now because I don't work there anymore. But I also, while I was in Indianapolis, worked for the Westwood One Network, and they have a network called the Stork Network, which is basically like a syndication type service where you are on. You can be anywhere from 30 to 130 different radio stations. I think I was on about 65 different radio stations from Hawaii to upstate New York. Also worked for WAMO 107.3 in Pittsburgh, was their assistant program director, and worked for Loud 102.3 in Youngstown. Currently, I'm back with WCKX Power 107.5, 106.3 here in Columbus, 101.1 The Wiz in Cincinnati, and I do nights at WMGC 105.1 The Bounce in Detroit. The question I'm asked the most about radio is really simply, how do you get started? And like I told you earlier, the easiest way to get started in any company is to make yourself an asset and make yourself known to the people who make those decisions on whether you're an asset or a liability. And basically the way I got myself into the business was I met a man and his wife that started a radio station. And I just worked really hard. I did a lot of internship, did a lot of overtime work, and just worked harder than anybody else. And, I was at a place where I was only working overnight. So the consensus, it seemed like, was that I wasn't going to be able to move up the ladder, if you will. So I took my career into my own hands and found an opportunity and pursued that opportunity and didn't wait for someone to make an opportunity happen for me. I made it myself and took that opportunity into my own hands and produced where I am today. But again, that only happened and that only started because I found someone and I met someone that decided whether I could be an asset or a liability and became the best asset they could get. The biggest obstacle I faced is very simple. It's two things. It's money and it's opportunity. And the opportunity is a lot more to unpack than the money piece. The opportunity has changed as media has changed. And what I found is it goes back to being an asset. The more you can be an asset, the more valuable you are, which typically results in more money, right? So with radio specifically, you have a lot of different options now. You have XM, you have all the different digital options like your Apple Music, your Spotify, those kind of things. So what can I add or what can I bring to your company that would make someone want to listen to me on the radio as opposed to them choosing their own playlist on Apple Music or Spotify or things like that? So the biggest obstacle is finding a way to give people a reason to want to be your fan instead of taking entertainment into their own hands in 2022 and beyond. You provide something that Apple Music, Spotify, these digital platforms cannot provide. What I like to do a lot of times is put people on the air, put them on the radio, make them feel good, give them a personal experience that they can't get from their on-demand streaming service. The money part is really simple. A wise person will always find more than one source for their finances. So if you're a person that is only dependent upon one source, whether that's your job, whether it's your parents, whatever that is, if you're only dependent upon one source, you're going to be desperate to that one source and always be expecting everything from that source, and thus you put yourself in a weaker position. So to put yourself in a more favorable and stronger position in your life, find multiple streams of income. There's nothing wrong with having a passion and going hard and being a hard worker and doing the best you can, but don't depend on just that one source of income to be your 100% source of your life and to provide for you and your family. Find multiple ways to make money and to provide for you and your family. For example, I got my real estate license. So here in Columbus, Ohio, where I built a name and people are familiar with my brand, I'm able to have a more consistent business than someone who is not known to anybody. All right, so I have three crazy stories. Number one, back in 97, I was on the air when Evander Holyfield got his ear chopped off by Mike Tyson. And I got to literally say on the air, so Mike Tyson just bit off Evander Holyfield's ear. Yeah, I mean, remember, this is like at the beginning of the internet, so you ain't getting no notifications, no nothing. I was like SportsCenter. It was pretty sweet. Now, my other ones, I'm just gonna kind of give you just a few of them. I was on the air when the shooting happened at the Batman movie in Colorado. I was also on the air when the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting happened. And I was also on the air in Pittsburgh when the COVID-19 pandemic went down. I mean, I literally went from talking about Cardi B's hair to you can't go outside anymore, thus says the governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I was also on the air when we found out Rihanna had a bruise on her face after going out with Chris Brown that night. So, I mean, I've had a lot of different... I was also on the air right here in Columbus, Ohio, when the Buckeyes won the national championship in 2014. So that was pretty sweet. So I've had a lot of unique experiences with life, being here on the air. sharing it with hundreds of thousands of people. Very sweet. Two of my biggest accomplishments would probably be I work for WMGC 105.1 The Bounce in Detroit, and just recently had this accomplishment where I am number one in Detroit, women 25-54, which is our target audience. And probably my favorite experience and most memorable is when I found out that a girl that would call the radio station often, when I worked late nights at Power 107.5, 106.3 here in Columbus, found out that through a series of phone calls and just being there to be a friend at 3 o'clock in the morning, she shared with me that she chose not to commit suicide because of our friendship. All right, so get at me on social media is pretty much everything Justin Luvv. Don't spell love incorrectly. Justin Luvv. My website, jluvv.com. My real estate website, jloveismyrealtor.com. So Justin Luvv everything, and then there's websites. Bye now.